It was one of those chilly autumn evenings where the sky bleeds shades of orange and purple, and every leaf on the ground feels like it's holding a secret. Emma sat by the window, staring at the streetlights flicker on. She never imagined that a simple family dinner that night would change everything between her and her brother, Jason. They hadn't spoken properly in months. Arguments had piled up like unpaid bills, small resentments wrapped in years of misunderstanding. And yet, deep down, she had always hoped that one day, somehow, he would reach out. Tonight, that hope was about to be tested. The doorbell rang precisely at 6:47 p.m. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't expecting anyone, and the sound startled her more than she wanted to admit. As she opened the door, there he was, Jason, looking older, but in that familiar way that reminded her of their childhood. There was a softness in his eyes she hadn't seen in a long time, a humility that caught her off guard. Can we talk? Jason asked, his voice unsteady. Emma hesitated. Memories of past fights and bitter words flashed through her mind, but something in his expression stopped her from shutting the door. She nodded, stepping aside to let him in. They sat in the living room, the air thick with unspoken tension. Silence stretched between them, long enough to make her anxious. Finally, Jason cleared his throat. "I've been a terrible brother," he started.
"I know I hurt you, in more ways than I can count, and I'm sorry. Truly sorry." Emma's heart wavered. It wasn't the first time she had heard apologies from him, but this time there was no arrogance, no defensiveness. This time it sounded real. "I know I don't deserve it," he continued, "but I want to make things right. I've spent months thinking about everything I did wrong, and I realized I can't keep pretending that pride is more important than family." She blinked, trying to hold back the emotions threatening to spill. She had longed for these words, but had also braced herself for disappointment, for the possibility that they were empty. And yet, here they were, genuine and fragile in the dim light of her living room. Jason leaned forward, his hands resting on his knees. "I don't expect you to forgive me right away, or even at all, but I needed to say it. I needed you to know how much I regret letting things get this far." Emma's mind raced. She remembered the nights she had cried alone, feeling abandoned by someone she had trusted more than anyone in the world. And now, this apology, unexpected and heartfelt, was slowly beginning to mend the cracks she thought would never heal. A gentle quiet settled over them. The room felt smaller, warmer. Emma realized that this moment, the way he was sitting there, open and vulnerable, was rare. It was a beginning, fragile as a new leaf in spring, but a beginning nonetheless. Jason's voice broke through the silence again, softer this time. "I don't want to lose you, Emma. You mean more to me than I've ever admitted." Tears threatened to escape, and she quickly looked away, pretending to fix the throw pillow beside her. She wanted to respond, to pour out everything she had been holding inside for months, but the words stuck in her throat. The night outside grew colder, and the soft hum of the streetlights seemed to echo her racing thoughts. She realized that this apology wasn't just a line, it was a bridge, fragile, yet offering a path back to the brother she had loved all her life. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Emma finally looked back at him, a hesitant smile tugging at her lips. "Thank you for saying that," she whispered. Jason nodded, relief flickering across his face. But just as she felt a tiny spark of hope, a knock on the door interrupted their fragile moment. Both of them froze. Emma's heart pounded. Who could it be at this hour? The mystery visitor on the doorstep would change everything. Emma's heart raced as she moved toward the door, Jason following closely behind. The knock came again, deliberate, firm, impossible to ignore. She hesitated, glancing at Jason. His brow was furrowed, concern shadowing his features. "Should I?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. Jason shook his head. "I'll come with you. Just
Be careful.
She unlocked the door slowly, revealing a figure shrouded in the evening shadows. As the light from the hallway hit, Emma's eyes widened. It was their neighbor, Mrs. Whitman, holding a small envelope in her hands. Her expression was urgent, yet gentle, like someone carrying a message too heavy to deliver lightly. "Emma, I'm sorry to bother you at this hour," Mrs. Whitman said softly, "but I think this belongs to you." She extended the envelope, and Emma took it hesitantly. The handwriting on the front was unmistakable, her mother's, neat and familiar, though she hadn't seen it in months. Jason's presence felt grounding, a silent reassurance. Emma tore open the envelope carefully, and her eyes skimmed the contents. It was a letter, filled with words she hadn't expected to read so soon. Her mother's voice, preserved in handwriting, poured over her like a warm breeze. "I have been watching, Emma," the letter began, "watching you grow, struggle, and yet remain strong. I know things between us have been strained. I know I've made mistakes. But please, never doubt how deeply I love you." Emma's hands trembled as she read further. There were apologies, explanations, and confessions she had longed to hear. She realized with a pang in her chest that she had carried so much resentment for the wrong things, holding on to anger that no longer deserved space in her heart. Jason leaned closer, reading over her shoulder. "She's proud of you," he murmured, his voice almost breaking.
She really is. Emma swallowed hard, blinking back tears. I didn't think she remembered all the little things, she whispered. The birthdays, the notes in my lunchbox, everything. Mrs. Whitman shifted slightly, glancing at Jason. She wanted you to have it tonight, said you might need to hear it now. The letter continued, words folding into Emma's heart. There was hope, there was love, and for the first time in a long time, there was a sense of reconciliation. She realized that the walls she had built around herself, thinking she had been abandoned, were crumbling. Jason reached out and gently touched her shoulder. "You deserve this, Emma. All of it." A tear slipped down her cheek. "I never thought I'd feel this again," she said softly. The three of them stood there for a moment, a quiet circle of connection. But just as Emma folded the letter, ready to tuck it safely into her pocket, a sudden sound from the street made her freeze. It was faint, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Jason's eyes narrowed. "Did you hear that?" Emma nodded slowly. "Yes, but it's probably just the wind." Mrs. Whitman hesitated, her expression tightening. "I'm not so sure," she said. "I've seen things tonight that, well, let's just say it's better to be cautious." A shiver ran down Emma's spine. The warmth from the letter and Jason's apology seemed to clash with an unease that crept up her neck. She felt the fragile peace they had just begun to build teetering on the edge of something unknown. "Maybe you should stay inside for a bit," Mrs. Whitman suggested, her voice low. "Just until it's safe." Jason nodded, and Emma reluctantly stepped back inside, closing the door. The night suddenly felt colder, heavier, as if carrying a secret meant only to test her resolve. They sat together in silence, hearts still pounding from the unexpected encounter. The letter lay on the coffee table, a beacon of hope, yet shadowed by the uncertainty lurking just beyond the window. Emma's mind raced with questions. Who or what was outside? And why did it feel like this night was far from over? Her hand brushed against Jason as he reached for the letter. He gave her a small, reassuring squeeze. "We'll face it together," he said. But even as he spoke, the air seemed charged with something they couldn't see, a presence that made the room feel too quiet, too still. Just as Emma began to feel a flicker of comfort, a sharp, almost deliberate knock echoed through the house, louder this time, closer. Emma froze. Her heart beat faster than it had all evening. Something or someone was waiting. The knock on the door reverberated through the living room, louder than before, slicing through the fragile calm Emma had just begun to feel. Jason moved instinctively toward her, his protective presence a comforting weight. Emma's fingers trembled as she reached for the doorknob. She peeked through the peephole. The street was empty, nothing but shadows and the swaying branches of the maple trees outside. Maybe it's just someone making a prank,
Jason muttered, trying to sound casual, though his clenched jaw betrayed him. Emma wasn't so sure. Her instinct screamed otherwise. Something felt off. She slowly unlocked the door and opened it a crack. A small folded note had been slipped under it. Jason bent down and picked it up. Emma unfolded it, revealing the neat, precise handwriting that didn't belong to anyone they knew. The message was brief but chilling. Not everything is as it seems. Watch carefully. The truth will come. Emma's breath caught. Who could this be? She whispered. Jason ran a hand through his hair. I don't know, but whoever it is, they know we just received your mom's letter. Emma's mind spun. Could someone have been watching them? Why now of all nights? And what did the note mean by the truth will come? Her heart pounded, the warmth of the evening now replaced by icy uncertainty. They decided to lock the door again and sit together on the couch. The letter from Emma's mother lay between them, a fragile beacon of love amidst the growing tension. Jason held her hand tightly. We've faced tough things before, he said softly. We can handle this too. Emma nodded, but even as she tried to steady herself, her thoughts kept drifting. She couldn't shake the feeling that this night was far from ordinary. Her mother's letter had opened doors to the past, but now this strange note threatened to reveal something unexpected, something she wasn't ready for. Hours passed slowly. The wind outside rattled the window panes, and shadows moved in strange patterns on the walls. Emma tried to focus on her mother's words, repeating them in her mind to find comfort. Jason remained close, alert, his presence grounding her. At midnight, a soft buzz came from the front porch. Emma and Jason froze. It was faint, almost like a vibration through the floor. Jason got up cautiously, signaling Emma to stay back. He opened the door and found a small black envelope sitting on the welcome mat. No one was in sight. Jason picked it up and handed it to Emma. She opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a photograph, an old family photo they had never seen before. Emma's stomach twisted as she studied it. In the picture, her mother was holding a small child, but the child wasn't her. It was a boy, unfamiliar, yet somehow strikingly familiar. Who is this? Emma breathed, her voice barely audible. Jason's face turned pale. I don't know, but I think this is what the note meant by the truth coming. Emma clutched the photograph tightly, trying to process the sudden revelation. The night that had begun with an apology and a letter from her mother was now spiraling into a mystery she couldn't ignore. I need to know, she whispered. I need to understand what this means. Jason nodded, a determination settling over him. Then we'll find out together, no matter what. The two of them sat back down on the couch, the photograph resting between them. It felt like a key, an invitation to uncover something long hidden, something that had been waiting for the right moment to emerge. Outside, the wind picked up, and the shadows seemed to stretch longer. Emma's heart raced with a mix of fear and curiosity. The apology from her brother, the letter from her mother, and now this mysterious photograph. They were all threads in a story that was far from over. And just as she began to feel a tiny spark of courage, a soft creak came from the upstairs hallway. It was subtle, deliberate. Someone, or something, was moving inside the house. Emma's hand found Jason's again. Did you hear that? She asked. Jason nodded, eyes narrowing. Yes, and I don't think we're alone. The warmth of family, the comfort of apologies and love, it was all overshadowed now by a presence that demanded answers. Emma's heart pounded. She realized that the night had turned into a journey she hadn't signed up for, one that might reveal truths she wasn't ready to face. And just as she braced herself for what was to come, a shadow passed across the living room doorway, stopping her breath completely. The shadow lingered in the doorway, unmoving, as if testing them. Emma clutched Jason's hand, feeling his steady grip tighten in return. Every muscle in her body screamed to run,
but the curiosity that had pulled her this far held her in place. Jason whispered, "Who's there? Show yourself." His voice was steady, but his eyes scanned every corner, every flicker of light. Slowly, a figure stepped forward. Emma squinted, trying to make sense of the silhouette. And then, the light from the living room lamp hit the face, and Emma's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't a stranger. It was someone familiar, someone she hadn't expected to see in years. "David?" she breathed. Her childhood friend, David, stood there, older, but with the same gentle smile she remembered. "Emma," he said softly, "I didn't mean to scare you. I needed to make sure you received the letter and the photograph." Jason frowned. "You know about the photograph?" David nodded. "Yes, there's a story your family kept hidden, something your mother wanted you to discover when the time was right." Emma's mind raced. Why now? Why all of this tonight? David sighed. "Because the past has a way of catching up, Emma. Your mother wanted you to understand the truth before anyone else could twist it or hide it from you." Emma looked down at the photograph again, her fingers tracing the outline of the mysterious boy. "Who is he?" David's expression softened. "He's your brother, Emma. Half-brother. Your mother had him before you were born, and circumstances, well, complicated things. She couldn't tell you, but she wanted you to know eventually."
And tonight, with Jason here, it felt like the right time. Emma's world tilted. Half-brother? She felt a mix of shock, confusion, and an odd sense of relief. The missing piece of her family's story was finally surfacing. Jason's voice was low but firm. "Emma, this changes a lot, but it doesn't change us. You're my sister. Nothing will ever change that." Emma looked at him, tears threatening again. Jason's apology from earlier, his presence tonight, suddenly took on a new depth. He hadn't just been seeking forgiveness. He had been preparing her, helping her rebuild trust before revealing something monumental. David stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I've been waiting for the right moment to introduce you to him. He wants to meet you. Your mother hoped it would happen this way. Carefully, gently." Emma felt a swirl of emotions, nervousness, excitement, and an unexpected warmth. The thought of meeting her long-lost brother was overwhelming, yet the way Jason looked at her gave her courage. "Where is he?" she asked softly. David smiled faintly. "He's nearby. I brought him to a safe place where you two can meet. He doesn't know about the letters or the apology yet, but he's ready to know you." Emma took a deep breath. Her life had been filled with unexpected turns, but nothing compared to this revelation. She looked at Jason. "Are you sure about this?" Jason nodded. "I'll be right here. We'll face it together." Emma felt her pulse quicken. This meeting could change everything. Her sense of family, her understanding of herself, even the bond she had with Jason. But as fear mingled with anticipation, she realized she was ready. The three of them left the house, stepping into the crisp night air. The street seemed quieter now, almost holding its breath. Emma clutched the photograph tightly, using it as a bridge between the past she had known and the future she was about to enter. They arrived at a small park nearby. A soft light illuminated a figure sitting on a bench, waiting. Emma's heart raced as David guided her forward. Her steps felt both heavy and light, the weight of the unknown balanced by the excitement of discovery. As they drew closer, the figure looked up. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She saw her mother's eyes in his face, the same gentle gaze she had always loved. And suddenly, everything made sense. The letters, the photograph, the tearful timing of Jason's apology. Her heart pounded with anticipation, fear, and hope. And just as she opened her mouth to speak, her half-brother smiled softly and said a single word that made everything feel real. "Emma." Emma froze, her heart hammering in her chest. The single word, Emma, carried a weight she hadn't expected. She looked at the boy, or rather, the young man, sitting on the bench, and for a moment the world seemed to stop. He had her mother's eyes, soft and warm, yet curious, hesitant. much like she had felt when she first read the letter.
Jason stepped beside her, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. "Go on," he whispered. "It's your moment." Emma took a deep breath, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Hi, I'm Emma," she said, her voice trembling but steady. Her half-brother smiled again, this time a little wider. "I know," he said. "I've been waiting to meet you." David stepped back, letting the siblings take this first step on their own. The park was quiet, the streetlights casting gentle halos around the three of them. Emma felt the tension, the anxiety, the years of unanswered questions begin to dissolve. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other, taking in features, expressions, the reality of their connection. And then slowly, her half-brother rose and extended his hand. "I'm so glad we finally meet," he said. Emma hesitated, then took his hand. It was firm, warm, and grounding. A wave of emotion hit her, relief, joy, and a strange, comforting sense of belonging she hadn't realized she'd been missing. Jason watched quietly, pride softening his features. "I'm glad you're here too," he said to her half-brother. "You're part of this family now, and we've got a lot to catch up on." The young man nodded, his gaze shifting between the three of them. "I've always wondered about you, Emma, and now I feel like I finally know where I belong." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. The weight of years of unanswered questions, misunderstandings, and silence seemed to lift with every passing second.
She realized that Jason's apology, the letters, and even the mysterious notes had all been steps leading her to this moment, this meeting, this recognition of family she didn't know she had been missing. "I have so many questions," she admitted, voice breaking slightly, "but right now, I just want to be here with you." Her half-brother nodded, understanding in his eyes. "We'll have time for questions," he said gently. "Right now, let's just start here." Emma felt Jason squeeze her shoulder lightly, a silent affirmation that he was proud of her courage. The apology he had offered earlier wasn't just words. It had been a bridge that allowed her to meet the truth of her family, to connect with someone she hadn't known existed, and to begin healing old wounds. The night air seemed warmer now, the breeze carrying away the lingering fear and uncertainty. Emma took a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. Her family had grown, not just in numbers, but in understanding, in forgiveness, in love. Her half-brother smiled again, this time with a hint of mischief that reminded her of Jason's younger days. "You'll have to show me all your favorite places," he said, lightening the moment. Emma laughed softly, feeling a lightness in her chest. "Deal," she said. And in that simple exchange, the heavy shadows of the past began to lift, replaced by hope and the promise of new beginnings. Jason chuckled softly, watching them.
"Looks like I'm no longer the only sibling in charge," he teased, earning a playful glare from Emma. But even as laughter filled the night, Emma knew that the real gift wasn't the reunion, or the apology, or even the answers she had been waiting for. It was the understanding that love, patience, and honesty could heal even the deepest wounds, and that sometimes the most unexpected moments could bring the greatest joy. The three of them walked back toward the house, the photograph safely tucked into Emma's pocket, a reminder of the journey they had taken together. The night had started with uncertainty, tension, and questions, but it ended with connection, clarity, and a quiet sense of family restored. Emma glanced at Jason, then at her half-brother. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion, "for everything." Jason smiled softly. "No, thank you," he said, "for trusting me and for trusting yourself." And as they stepped into the warm light of the house, Emma realized that sometimes the most unexpected apologies could open the doors to the most extraordinary discoveries, and the heart had a way of finding its way home, no matter how long it took. The night was no longer heavy. It was full of promise, love, and the beginning of something beautiful.